Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham, and Spurs have come back to form. We're now on a Monday talking about another loss. It was a nice while it lasted, the 2 wins, but hey-ho. So 3 guests today, 3 against 1. Unfortunately, that wasn't the result. We got the one right. Mike, who was on the preview, West Ham fan. How you doing, Mike? Apart from the Cheshire Cat, I'm assuming you've had a fairly good day.
That is going to be my response for most of the day.
And Brian, obviously. How you doing, Brian? Tottenham on tour as well. Your YouTube channel. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so first of all, let me just say, all together now, we're fucking shit. Oh, I broke the 10 minutes in 1 minute. Oh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, Tottenham on tour. Oh, Jesus, I didn't think that one through. But yeah, so Tottenham on tour is where you can find me and Brian Ireland. We're a relatively newer channel. I was part of Tottenham Away. We're starting to do a bit more regular stuff. With me being back home in London and not home in Toronto, where I live now, it's been hard with the time differences, but we're starting to do a bit more. And then obviously when I get back to Toronto on the 5th of November, we'll be doing a lot more because we're both on the same time zone. So yeah, Tottenham on tour is where you can find us.
Excellent. That link will be in the description, both on the YouTube channel and the audio podcast as well. And Adam, welcome back after a few weeks of holiday. I'm not saying anything, but when you were away, we won. You've come back, and I'm not saying anything. But you know, it's just how the cookie.
We were away. We lost to Arsenal, so yeah, you won't be back.
Yeah, how you doing?
We lose when I'm back with these. Just London derbies. Yeah. Just can't win them.
Yeah. All right, so we better crack on with this. First things first, it's actually my birthday today. Unfortunately, Tottenham couldn't give me an early birthday present, but it is today. Do you want money? Do you want presents? No, I'd love some likes. I'd love some subscribes. So hit that subscribe, hit that like, and yeah, hopefully this won't be too horrible for any Spurs fans.
So first of all, Chris, happy birthday. And second of all, that means your birthday and Tommy's birthday, whose birthday it was on Friday.
Yeah, it was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was Friday. So it was Friday. So he had to watch that horror show in Europe, and then his birthday weekend with this game. But you had your birthday eve ruined by this game. Tottenham, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. You know, it's been a good week, but Tottenham lost. But they're Tottenham. But yeah, first off, I'll come to you, Adam. Nuno's gamble doesn't pay off. He dropped everybody who started against West Ham and Newcastle in Europe. We lost that game. Absolutely shocking. Everyone's come back. We've lost again. For me, though, the lineup that he picked in Europe, I wasn't too upset about that. See what that backup team can do. Obviously, they haven't done anything, so we've learned something there. But you've got to kind of say it's a bit of a... Yeah, because he's lost 2 games on the bounce.
Yeah. Yesterday, I mean, it's evident we need a playmaker midfielder. We need a playmaker. It just breaks down. We're just not good enough in the final third. It breaks down all the time. I mean, we had possession yesterday.
63% or something like that, I think, total in the game. Which
a lot of possession. But we need that playmaker. We need that Ericsson. We need someone who's going to put those balls through and not waste this. We get into the final third and it's wasted all the time. And I don't think Kane is sharp enough at the moment. That header he had, he would have put away. You know, without he would have had that breakfast. Yeah,
I did like the desire. The ball was in the air for quite a while. I did like the desire of him to sprint to get that, but yeah, he should have buried that. But Souček then had a header himself, which I'm sure Mike will talk about in a bit, which we'll come to in a bit. But yeah,
West Ham are good. West Ham are an organised side. They've got Rice and they've got Souček in the middle, and they've got a really strong spine. In their squad, they've got Zuma now, got Antonio, obviously he's a very good player, and that's what Tottenham lack. And I think it came down to desire, and West Ham had it. And it's time and time again for Spurs in these games where we just lack that cutting edge, we lack that desire, and we come up short. And that was that.
Yeah. What do you think, Brian, with the gamble? Obviously not worked, and the game yesterday. I thought, obviously West Ham got their goal, and when it mattered, they got the goal. But I didn't think any team had any they had so many more chances than the other. I thought it was a fairly boring game. But yeah, what did you make of the gamble by Nuno that hasn't worked in the game yesterday?
So first of all, when it comes to the game, I think Michael agrees as well. It wasn't your typical Spurs West Ham game, which was action packed, box to box, tempers flaring up. I mean, there's that one flare up with Romero, but normally there's a lot more excitement to the game. There's a lot more desire from both teams, and it was they cancelled each other out. When you say the word gamble, I don't think Nuno didn't gamble. He has no choice. We are shockingly crap. So he cannot risk his players getting injured in this Conference League. His bread and butter for Tottenham is the Premier League, and to try and get better yesterday than last season. And unfortunately, our squad depth has not allowed him to be able to play these players for every game. He can't. He's got to try and find, especially with only one striker. He can't. I mean, we'll get onto him during the discussion, I'm sure. But we just do not have the squad. Look at West Ham on Thursday. They played. It was at home in Europe, correct, Mike?
Yep, game was at home against Kane.
So they won 3-0. Declan Rice comes off with half an hour to go, so he's fresh. That team, what that team are doing as well under David Moyes, may not be the same style as what we played, but they're doing exactly what Pochettino did with Spurs. They work as a team. They may not have. If you look at the two squads, they may not have the better players when you look at the Sons and the Romeros and things like that. But as a team, they're working a lot better and a lot harder than ours. And they're working for the manager. Well, our team clearly aren't. And even if they are, they haven't got the skills to do what he wants. So the word gamble, I don't think is the correct. I know what you're trying to say, but I don't think he's got a choice. I'd say it's a calculated risk as opposed to a gamble. But look, at the end of the day, West Ham took their chance that they had. And then one thing West Ham do is they're 1-0 up with 12 minutes to go. Of course, they're going to sit back and just soak everything up. And we should have made our subs earlier. And it is what it is. And it's another embarrassing night for Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, in contrast, Mike, Nuno rested all 11 of his players. I think you mentioned on Friday you had 4 that maybe were in, but like you mentioned on Friday, Wes, we've got someone like an Ali who just doesn't look bothered. He didn't get asked to play a game. He got asked to stop playing Fortnite for a day. It looked like he can't be bothered. Whereas in contrast with your team, whoever goes in, it's my chance to get myself in the first team. It's my chance to help a team. Like Brian says, you're working as a team. So yeah, a completely different contrast. So I do agree with Brian that it's like how we had under Pochettino, everybody working, everyone knows their jobs when someone comes in. So, I mean, you must be absolutely delighted that not just the win, but, how things have changed. I mean, Moyes was there before, wasn't he? And he didn't really light the place on fire. And he's come back. I'm pretty sure West Ham fans we don't want him back because of what he did. But you must be absolutely delighted with how it's turned out now. And with Weiss and Souček, you've got an absolute partnership there. And Weiss is, he's unbelievable, Weiss.
At the moment, he's going.
You must be delighted with how things are going.
Yeah, it's like, so, back in that time when Pellegrini went, we went for Moyes. That was the choice to keep us there. Also, we had Moyes before that. Yeah. When he first came back, there were some that supported it because obviously it's a familiar face and he did well last time keeping us up. So, there was others who had reservations. I was one of them massively. It seemed very much like he could, and it was an old dog who wasn't learning any new tricks, even though he said he's going to learn some. But after COVID hit, everything changed. Basically, he had time with the team. He seemed to actually adapt to new style of play. Then, obviously, that last year when we got Lingard in for that last part of the season just to help us over the line to get to Europa, at times we were scintillating. Let's be honest. Like, we were genuinely really good, and we were tearing some teams apart. And this year, Zuma's been an amazing signing. He's gone actually really kind of under the radar in terms of people talking about it, but he is so solid. Apart from the Brentford game, he's been rock solid. He's
one of those players at Chelsea. He's never going to get there really because he's not going to play every game. You stick him in a team where he's playing every game. He knows he's a centre back. Knows his job. He's going to be. Sure,
he started Champions League final and won it. So to say he was never going to get there, that's not true. He was there. Truth is, Chelsea wanted to go a different way, and they wasn't always going to play that free formation, and they couldn't really get them all in. So one of them had to go. Zuma was the one. That was the one they got the offer from. I'm pretty sure if someone would have come in for Christensen, he would have gone. They would have kept Zuma. So to say he wasn't there, it's not. It's just not true. It's just not how it is. But you know the way it's developed, and you know we had the young kid Ben Johnson playing at right back, playing against Son, one of the best wingers in the country. What did Son do against him? Nothing. You know, he kept him quiet the entire game. The only time Son actually had any joy was when he went to the West Ham's left side and he was cutting in between Ogbonna and Cresswell. Only time he got any joy. And in fact, that was the only position where Tottenham ever actually got any kind of joy at West Ham. Because on Zuma and Johnson's side, shut out. But what I thought was quite telling, because we had the conversation as to, are West Ham going to press Tottenham? And I said, yeah, we're going to try and come at you. We're not just going to be passive. But what Declan Rice said, which was quite telling, was they came out with every intent to do that. In the first 15 minutes, it was a bit like at a derby, both teams trying to go through it. There's some good ebb and flow. But then once Tottenham kind of settled and got on the ball, it was actually, well, they're moving the ball quite well. So actually, let's just sit back. Let's not get ourselves out of position and let's see if they can break us down. And there's a couple of moments where you did, but that was, I think, just before we adjusted ourselves to kind of get those kind of lines in. And, you know, you look at the three behind Antonio. So Benrahma didn't have a great game, nor did Bowen really in terms of with possession. But if you look at their stats in terms of how much they pressured Tottenham and how many pressures they made, phenomenal. I think there's an account called the other 14, which is an account that does stats on every club other than, you know, the big six, right? West Ham had Fornals, Declan Rice, Souček. Souček wasn't in there, but Bowen and Benrahma were all in there for the top presses of this weekend. All of the 20, 23 plus pressures on Tottenham in possession. That was massive because basically you had no passing lanes, especially in the second half. It was just side to side.
We'll get onto that.
That was basically what happened. It was the same pattern the entire second half. It was to the point raised earlier. You had no creativity. The moment you took Ndombele off, pretty much kind of sat there thinking, that's it for us. We got control of this now. The moment he went off, any drive you had that was a little bit different went. Everything else then was just the same patterns after he went off, I think. Which is funny. I understand him.
I mean, speaking of Ndombele, we spoke about this on text message. We'll go around everyone. He had a penalty appeal early doors. It was one of them ones. If it had been given, I think you could see why it had been given. But it wasn't a clear-cut one by any stretch of the imagination. Personally, I think he towed it past him. He was never going to get to the ball that he towed past him anyway. But Zuma it was, wasn't it? Who's trod on his toe. So he has made contact. But so it's one of them 50-50 ones which could have gone either way. And you've seen some of them given. But what did you think about that? I'll come to you first, Mike.
Game's gone if that's given, mate. Sorry, game's gone. No, it was a proper blood and thunder, true tackle. He goes in, makes contact with the ball. Fabianski stops it going out. Ndombele's on his arse. Nothing wrong with it. He goes in, he wins the ball. It's 50-50.
Well, there's certainly one replay where he didn't touch the ball.
That thing of just because there's contact, it's a foul. And just because it's in the box and it's contact, it's a penalty. It was not a penalty. Two players went in, 50-50, ball bought one. There's accidental tread. He's won the ball first. And then
that's the thing I do disagree with about. There's one replay which shows that Ndombele won the ball and not Zuma. But Adam, what did you think?
Could have been, probably shouldn't have been. It's irrelevant though. I mean, I don't like going back to these, should have been a penalty or not. But at the end of the day, we just didn't play well enough. And, we didn't get the goals. We didn't take our chances, or the few chances we had. And that was that, really.
Yeah, Brian, what did you think of the penalty appeal? I think it's one of them ones that whether it's a penalty or whether it's not, if it happens to your team, you're up on your feet and then you end up having a look at the replay. What did you think? You've
literally just taken exactly what I was going to say. I was about to say it's one of those. I'll elaborate on it a bit more though. Well, as I say, it's one of those that if it had been your team, when you're watching it on VAR, you're going, yeah, penalty, but you know, it's one of those that if your team's given against it, you're like, oh my God, that's never in a million years. What are you doing, ref? Listen, the reason I think it wasn't a penalty and why I think the referee's got it right is it doesn't matter whether Zuma touched it or not. The way that Ndombele, he stood on the ball, it was a bad touch. So even if he had got past Zuma, I don't think he was getting the ball. If it had been a better touch and he'd got an easy, if he trapped it dead and was ready to pull the trigger, then I think it might have been given. But for the fact that the way he stood on the ball, it wasn't even he trapped it, he stood on the ball and you see it jump up off the turf, I just don't think it was a penalty. And the ref, I think, in this case, got that right. But don't get me wrong, if we'd got it, I'd have been like, fantastic, ref, great decision. But like Mike said, it's one of those where last season it would have been a penalty with the stupid VAR rules and how in depth they went into everything. But thankfully, it wasn't a penalty. Listen, we're clutching at straws if we say yes, it was. I don't think it was a penalty.
I like Brian, Chris.
Like me, a West Ham fan liking a Tottenham fan. What next?
Yeah, we're only 16 minutes in. We're only 16 minutes in, mate. There's still time.
Consent. I'm soon. I'm going to get to have a little go at Gary Kane, and you lot are all going to join in. This is going to be great fun.
Well, yeah, but it'd be interesting what you guys are watching. What do you think? Penalty or not? Or yeah, what do you think? Yeah, one of the big battles, Mike. Romero, Antonio. There were two moments I can remember where Romero's been pushed away. And then the Son chance came from after the first one, Romero realising that he's stronger than Romero, and then he's gone into him quick, got the ball off him, and then we've created an attack, quick passing. Well, one of the only times we had quick passing. Son's wasn't quite one-on-one, but he had a good chance. But I mean, Antonio's going to bully most defenders. Even against Vidic, there'll be times where Vidic is knocked off the park. So I think Romero actually did quite well against him. But yeah, and obviously Romero had that incident with 4 nails. We thought at the time it might have been a spit, but it seems to have been a doctored photo of someone causing a problem, which at the time anyway, I thought it was very stupid from Romero. You could have got sent off with another reckless challenge because he likes to go in. But it didn't happen. But yeah, Romero versus Antonio. Obviously, you'll be pleased with Antonio's work there. We'll probably be quite pleased with Romero's work. But it was quite a good battle, I thought.
No, it was a good battle. I think he did quite well against Antonio when it was, an aerial duel, those kind of ones. But I think when it was coming into Antonio's chest and so on, he struggled to get around him. Yeah, like you say, he got in a couple of times and kind of nicked it off him by getting in a bit quick and catching him off balance. But whenever Antonio was set, there was only one winner. And obviously those couple of foot races as well, where you could just see Romero, even though he was getting there, the moment he come into contact, he bounced off him like a rag doll. It was. He
went off the pitch at one point and onto the touch line on another. That's
it wasn't as funny as what happened to Pereira last year, if ever you've seen that one, where he just literally hit Antonio and then jumped off into the stadium. But almost. But it was that kind of thing that he went near him. Dyer was having none of it. Dyer would go nowhere near him. You could tell Dyer was scared of him by the fact that Dyer never matched up to him. But I also think Antonio looked at Romero and went, I'm gonna give him a bit of a battering, and I'm gonna hit him every time I get a chance. And I think that was maybe a tactical thing as well, because as I say, Dyer was nowhere to be seen whenever Antonio was near the ball. Just was having none of it. And I think that's because he's had a bit of a time against him before, and I know he said he found him difficult in an interview, shall we say, before. So
Peter Crouch on his podcast, they asked him, when you were playing, did you suddenly go, I'm going to line up against that defender? And he deliberately calls defenders either a buffalo or a gazelle, and you stand next to the gazelle. So but yeah, Adam, what did you think of Romero versus Antonio? I thought Antonio holding it up is fine because he's got back to goal. He's got no choice but to go backwards. The moment he gets running at someone and gets you one-on-one, that's where his strength comes into play. His strength comes into play holding it up and passing it backwards. It's not really causing you that much damage, whereas when he's running at you, Romero's gone off to another postcode. And then all of a sudden you're a man down because he's gone past. But yeah, what did you make of Romero? I think he's done quite well since he's
I think he did quite well considering it's Antonio, and Antonio is a phenomenal striker. He's one of them strikers. You've just got to be concentrated on your game the whole 90 minutes. Otherwise, you miss something, like the goal, I guess. And Antonio's in there. You know, he's strong, he's quick, he's got a great football brain, he makes good runs. He's got everything really. But yeah, considering, I think Romero did well. But Antonio is, you know, he does this every game. He bullies defenders every game. It's just the way he is. He's strong. You know, he's phenomenal at holding the ball up. You're not going to get it off of him. He's you know, he's a great striker. But yeah, I agree. Romero did well. Yeah.
Well, he's not really a striker, is he? He's kind of been molded into a striker, so it makes it even more impressive that he's not trained for that position for how many years before.
He's a striker. He fits. You know, he does well. You know, he's
funny wise, he would have been one of your youth kids back in the day, but his mum said no, he needs to go back to school.
Yeah, well, I find it very weird that we've got Kane, who I don't think can hold it up very well, and yet Antonio can't get into the England squad. But anyway,
it's because Antonio saw the light and went to Jamaica.
Oh, is it? Oh, right, okay.
Well, he has now anyway. He's now fully fledged.
It's probably a good reason then. I'll let Southgate off for that. Yeah, Brian Romero. Do you think he's settled in quite well? And obviously he's forming a partnership, whether it's a good one with Dyer or not, because they're playing together, which looks like the main centre-back pairing. But and Romero possibly doesn't know too much about Antonio. So it'll be interesting if he's paired up against Antonio in the return game. Yeah, Antonio tries and then see how Romero gets on. But yeah, how do you think he's settled in? Dyer and
Romero, you've got to remember, it's not just Antonio, he's had to deal with Lukaku as well, but it's the Premier League as a whole. It's a whole different pace to Serie A. So he's still acclimatising to that. I mean, obviously there is a definite physique difference between Romero and Antonio. I think Antonio was excellent yesterday. All right, we lost the game, but out of our defenders, and what I was at the Aston Villa game and the Chelsea game, and obviously we saw the Newcastle game. And in the last 3 games in defence, yes, we've conceded goals in each of them, but they've looked more of a unit. It hasn't been so easy to open us up like it was for Chelsea, like it was for Arsenal, like it was for Palace. Reguilon started performing better. Apart from yesterday, Emerson, I think he's done something to that defence. A lot of the time that we looked good yesterday was when Romero took it off of Emerson or he came forward and took the ball away from West Ham and we were on the transition. Because when West Ham, like Mike said, just let us sit back and say, right, come and break us down, we're clueless. Yeah, we're clueless. Yeah. We have got no creativity. So it was going to happen. But when it comes to the yellow card, I'll tell you what, this is what I hate about football and this is what I hated about this game. And I can't believe they get away with it. Romero did what he did, whatever. But Fornals was rolling around injured. He said something in Spanish and all of a sudden, he's much better and getting up ready to have a fight. Now, I'm not saying it because it's West Ham. This happens with every single team in every single match. A guy's rolling around going, get the magic sponge out. And then someone will say something into their language or English. And all of a sudden, they're absolutely fine and getting up ready for a ruck. And it's just like, oh, come on, Red.
He was smashed from behind. Whether he got the ball afterwards or not,
I'm not disputing that part. I'm disputing the bit where he's rolling around.
But I think we've all had that bit of a rush of adrenaline where you're sitting there, let's just say you stump your toe and someone goes, what do? You turn around and go, you're a twat. You know, it's that kind of thing straight away where you forget the pain. So,
I think you're right. I think you're right because I suffer with Tottenham Tourette's or Levy Tourette's, so whatever that word. So it's kind of the same thing. So yeah, but listen, Antonio this season is a predator in the box. I mean, I watched. He always scores against us. You have these players that score against certain clubs all the goddamn time. Tottenham is that to Antonio. It's like literally, I'm going to score today. He can play with cement in his boots and he'll score, such as his run against us. He keeps doing it. But I mean, the goal I've got to, I mean, what I've seen of Antonio since I've been here is when they beat Leeds, the way he took his goal in the last minute, that was like a pure predator that's got ice running through his veins when the moment happens, and he put it away. And he had this one chance, and I don't even want to talk about the prick that was defending him.
Well, we have to, Brian. I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, I don't talk about it right.
We'll get on to it.
We will do, but I'm picking up Romero now, so I don't want to give that prick any any attention. Listen, Romero, I didn't know a lot about him before we signed him. I didn't know a lot about him, but I heard a lot of the fellow YouTubers and the people in the chats, and then loads of other people going, "Oh my God, this guy!" And you're not Serie A Defender of the Year for nothing. That especially in that league. And he's came and he started well. He started. I can see a very, very dominant centre back there. But funnily enough, because it's Tottenham and because it's Levy, we won't go and finish the job and buy a partner that can actually play to his level. We'll just try and use the 18 central defenders that we can't sell and try and make it. He will be fantastic. We just need to get the right partner for him.
Who is the right partner for him? Someone quick, someone strong, someone authoritative?
Well, it's the player that we should have got the season before, but of course we had to deal with Lee. Exactly. Him and Skriniar will be a partnership made in heaven to me. You got basically, it reminds me of like, when Jaap Stam was at United and they had Ronnie Johnson next to him. When those two were together, done. They had the build and the physique of Stam and his pay, and then they had the elegance, even Vidic and Ferdinand kind of thing. And that's how I think because that partnership for me, I don't know if other fans feel the same. That defensive partnership with two centre backs is the most important understanding in the whole. Like that's the partnership that is the most vital that you need to work, because like they said, defence. Was it strikers win your games, defences win your titles, or the other way or whatever. But that partnership is vitally important, and we haven't had it since Jan and Toby. And let's just hope we don't have to wait too much longer.
Yeah. Well, I'd have Jaap Stam now, even now, he might be 60.
Man, I think Gary Mabbott now. He does a lot of work. Michael Dawson and Ledley King are ambassadors. Get them out. Get them out.
Steve Bruce is looking for a job. I've word of him. He weren't bad back in the day.
No, he looks too much like Mrs. Doubtfire to me. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's one partnership that Brian's talked about. Yeah, there to another one, Mike, which ain't too shabby either. Rice and Souček, who I think are superb. And then in that middle of that, we talked about on Friday how Newcastle, Ndombele could have got the ball, gone to the cinema, watched Venom, come back and got more space than he had when he went. Never going to happen against West Ham. Never going to happen against Rice and Souček and Moyes. And that's kind of how it proved. There was no real space there other than for Tottenham to piss around with it side to side like a football team. But Rice and Souček, you must be absolutely delighted with them. Rice is, I have to admit, I thought Rice would be one of these people who had a really good season and then would kind of fall down. But he's just, I mean, Sterling and other people obviously get the credit and the headlines for the not the World Cup, the Euros. But I thought he was immense, and in that final, he was our best player. But and Souček has been an unbelievable signing. The Czech market has served you very well. But that two people there is kind of the not the backbone of your team, but it's the kind of rock of your team, is it not?
Yeah, well, it's the core, right? Whenever you build a team, you build two centre backs, two centre midfielders, and then either back in the day used to be two strikers, and then everything else then you built around the edge. But you have that strong core, and they're both of a good age. They both have the same philosophy when it comes to football in terms of you working mentally hard, both on and off it, and you are committed. And let's face it, you look at the running stats, Souček is always at the top. At the moment, I think he's either statistically the best tackler in midfield or the next best. He's been phenomenal in that respect. He hasn't actually had a good season so far, Souček, but mainly because we were starting to, and it's going to sound bad, but we started to indulge Rice's more flamboyant side of play and allow him to go forward a lot more, and it threw off the dynamic. Kind of corrected that in the last couple of games. Especially against Everton, you saw Souček was the more advanced. And that's the way it works. That Souček is the first press in midfield. If you get past him, you've then got Rice snapping in against you. And if you get past Rice, Souček's already coming back round to get involved as well. So you just can't, it's so hard to get away from him unless you have a lot of movement and a lot of one-touch passing. The moment you start to run at them is the moment you start to play into their hands because they just chase everything and everyone, and they spread out wide to kind of cover in the fullbacks, which is ridiculous when you think of how they kind of will spread to kind of come over and help out in the fullback positions, but they never seem to give up a blade of grass. And against Tottenham, they really didn't. And Tottenham just didn't learn. They kept coming through the centre, and it was just, piecemeal. It was just put a toe in, tap it on, counter. That was it. The thing that let us down was our final pass and control in the players that sat just behind Antonio. But from a defensive point of view, particularly the second half, it was just sit here and wait for the mistake. And then they put their toe in. That's what happened, and you say that as a partnership, you would probably argue is one of the best partnerships in the Premier League. It's not even just outside the top six. I mean, in the entire Premier League, it's one of the best partnerships there is. If you go through the partnerships, there's actually not that many in the Premier League nowadays because of the rotation. So the way that the amount of games they've played together, and also really when you think about the short time they had at first, it's a phenomenal understanding that they've made, and it's paid dividends, and it's really fed into a lot of what West Ham do. And, everyone credits Moyes for what he's done, but two of the most important signings that have happened under him is Souček and Soufal, who on their days off come in and train. And that kind of mentality is brushed off on all the other players. They were used to winning at Slavia. That kind of mentality, again, is brushed off because to them, I play football to win. I don't accept losing to Man City because I've competed with those types of teams in the Champions League, and I expect to compete, if not try and win. So they've brought that mentality into the club, and it's paid dividends over the last 18 months, in particular with Souček, and then obviously Soufal's been here for just over a season, and he's just brilliant. Sounds weird to say, but we didn't actually miss Soufal. That's a weird thing for a West Ham fan to say, because I think most West Ham fans, if you ask them, who do they love? Soufal and Souček are a couple of the ones at the top of the list. And also the kind of ones going, if you're going into a battle like a Tottenham game, who do you want? And pretty much 9 times out of 10, West Ham fans are saying I want Soufal. And to say we didn't miss him is huge for a West Ham fan because of what he means as that. He's essentially what Dixie was like back in those old days. Even though when he was dropping off in his kind of talent because of his knee injury, you just went, if we're going into battle, that's the guy I want. That's the type of mentality he has and how we kind of revere him in that sense of a warrior status, shall we say. I'll let someone else talk now.
Do you think Rice will be there next season?
Sorry, mate?
Do you think Rice will be there next season?
Depends
on how you do this season, doesn't it?
Depends on the competition we get in this year. If we can do the unthinkable, and it is unthinkable because I'm a West Ham fan and we haven't won anything since the 80s, we go on to win a cup. That type of thing starts to go, maybe we are going somewhere. And even, I know, sorry guys, this is probably going to hurt because, you are Spurs fans and, you've been more successful than us, but you've not won anything. You can point to the fact of, look at the closest rival as such in London in terms of Tottenham, all their success and they haven't won anything in all these years. We are building and we've already won something. And it's that same thing of you then to point to Leicester and go, well, look what they're achieving. Why do you want to go to United? What are you actually achieving there? You're just part of a number. So it's that if you can start to breed into him this idea of it's going to go somewhere, then you maybe get to hold him for another year or two. But you need to either be winning something or getting into a competition he wants to play in. Otherwise, it's a losing battle. But I think Moyes laid down a gauntlet to clubs just before the Tottenham game by saying, you had a bargain this year of 100 million on Rice. That bargain's now gone. So he's pretty much already said, if you want him, you're going to have to pay a king's ransom. So it really only leaves Chelsea and maybe Man City who are going to do that. He's not going to go to Newcastle. Let's face it, that ain't happening unless they win something in the next 2 years and he's still with us.
Who in the Championship?
Yeah, so there's only really 2 clubs that say Rice is going to go to, and if those 2 clubs come in, it's only one club he's leaving for, and that's Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a comment here from Adam. He was on last week after Newcastle. Hey, Adam, how you doing? We've now lost 4 derbies in a row. Have we ever done that before? It's embarrassing. I'm not sure that we have. Adam is always on the Spurs chats, Spurs channel, supporting not just this one, but all of them. Big up, Adam. Appreciate the support. But yeah, I can't remember us losing all 4 before. But it begs the question. I think
it's the capitulation, though, isn't it? You've played 4 derbies, conceded 10, scored 1. Like,
I mean, we should be pleased, shouldn't we? In this one, we only conceded 1. I mean, the way that the other 3 bloody went. But yeah, Adam, we would have won this game, or certainly had a lot bigger chance if we had a certain position. And it goes back to, as soon as Eriksen said he wanted to leave, why won't we get a sodding playmaker?
I can't wait to answer this question. I can't wait to answer this question.
Well, you've got the Kane rant or this one, so you have to pick. You can have both. It's fine.
That sounds good.
But yeah, I mean, there were times in that second half, especially, Royal was completely free, and instead of it going to him, it has to go to Skip, it then has to go to Højbjerg, it then has to go to Royal, and he's got no choice there. Because then West Ham, like Micah said, has got everyone back. He's got no choice but to go backwards. And then it goes from Højbjerg to Skip to Reguilon. He has to turn back. And it's just, I don't understand when we've got like a Nuno who's a football guy, Paratici who we've been told is a football guy. Unless I missed some memo somewhere, I was under the impression that to win football matches, you scored more goals. And that means going forward, not
you buy more property. You buy more property and host more concerts and host more boxing. That's how.
But yeah, I mean, will we get a playmaker, Adam? And if so, when? And yeah, I mean, Adam here. I'm good. Thinking my team is in such a shit state. You're preaching there. And then in answer to the playmaker, because the board doesn't want to spend the money for one. But Adam, will we get a playmaker before we get our bus pass? And if so, when will we get a bloody playmaker to actually play football and try and attack? You don't need a playmaker against Newcastle because they partied like the Red Sea and Ndombele was like Moses. You go forward. But it was so frustrating. We were never going to score that. It's like West Ham were like a football team, just side to side, backwards. And it's so easy to defend against. And it's glaringly obvious for a moron like me who's bald and lives in a rented flat, can't even afford a proper mortgage. But yet someone who's on £5 million, £8 million a year cannot see this. It's just, But will we get a playmaker before hell freezes over?
Before you answer that question, Chris, can I get a little capsule of your tears, please? Because it's just delicious to me. So can you please just send that over? I'll pay for packaging.
Where's this bloody mute button? Will we get a playmaker
next week? So calm down, it's fine.
I mean, in January, will we get a playmaker? We obviously needed someone in defence. We've got Romero there to sort that out, and now we've got other problems.
But Tottenham have been like this for years. Like the last year that Eriksen was there, I mean, he wasn't quite on the ball, and
he was still a playmaker. And people, and what you get as well, because I thought Son was awful, but there's no one there to give him the ball. So why make the runs, the 50-yard darting runs? Because it's just a waste of energy. And when someone does get the ball, he's surrounded by 2 people. You need a playmaker to open up. If you're going to play like Liverpool, that's fine. But then you hit it down the channels for your Manes, your Salahs, your Firminos, and then it's all about getting people in to support. But we're not going to play like that. We're trying to keep possession with no one who can. Oh, so bloody. That was a question. It was a 5-minute question there. I'll be quiet now and allow you to answer my essay question.
Right. Why haven't we got a playmaker? I don't know. We need one desperately because Tottenham have been like this for years. For probably 2 or 3 seasons, we've been, sideways passing, very slow in the final third, and teams they look at us and they think, oh, they're not going to do anything because we won't. It's just too easy. Whereas when we had Eriksen, we were opening teams up all over the place. But we need a playmaker if we're going to score goals. We're going to be a threat. We're going to push and press. We need a playmaker to sort of link up our play from the midfield to the forwards, and it's as simple as that.
But Chris, it's like something you said. it's all very well saying need a playmaker, but you need something even more fundamental. You need players to move. It's no good having someone who can pick a pass if your players don't move.
But if you have that playmaker, they will move. Because there was a game in Eriksen's last season, Newcastle at home, right?
Chris,
Eriksen was off.
This is not last season.
No. It's the same principle though, because he was on the bench. We had
different players, different manager. Chris, the principle is bollocks. It's gone. It's a non-starter. You can't talk about what Eriksen did under different manager when you had play a completely different style. You don't play that style anymore. You don't have that manager. Having that player is irrelevant if the players don't understand the patterns of play and how to move. It's irrelevant talking about what Eriksen did under Pochettino.
I get your point. I get your point. But right, if you're asking for players to run, that means there's a ball over the top. We've got no one in that team.
There's a whole concept of third runners running just to make people move. Son tried to make space by running into nothing and nowhere. He wasn't looking for a pass half time. He was looking to create space. You don't even have players looking to create space, Chris. This is why
I still think if we had a playmaker and someone who could spot a pass like that and execute that pass, players would make a run more. But Brian, why haven't we got a playmaker? I've got a feeling you're going to mention another ball man. But...
Why haven't we got? Well, that's fairly obvious, mate. I mean, well, let's look at it. We still haven't got.
You said you couldn't wait to answer that question. So.
We haven't got a second replacement for Harry Kane. That's 7 years. We haven't replaced Eriksen. We haven't replaced the original Dembele. We haven't replaced Vertonghen. Every single fan knows we need a playmaker or an attacking midfielder that can genuinely, not like a Ndombele that can do what Dembele does, like a drop of the shoulder and twist. We need someone that if someone makes the run, like how many times did we try and pass the ball to Reguilon yesterday?
Yeah,
and we just can't get it
up every time, didn't he?
We need someone like who I think Ollie Skip is turning into, and Michael, another player I'm about to refer very well, Michael Carrick. That is what Ollie Skip is becoming. To me, he is like the next Michael Carrick, because that kid's going to be sensational. He really is.
I agree in principle. He is no Carrick.
Not right now.
No, but even Carrick as at the same age, still different level. Sorry, Skip is a decent player. No. But different
I'm talking. I'm trying to pigeonhole him with a style of footballer. Not saying he will be as good or whatever. If I was to relate him to say he's like a throwback of, that would be the player I'm looking at, like the person that can control. And at 20 years old, he's doing sensational. But we need someone like an Eriksen that can put the ball through an eye of a needle. We tried to do it time and time again yesterday, and we just can't do it. We just need that. We've got no one that can take a set piece. Well, not that Eriksen could near the end anyway. And this is how bad the lack of creativity is right now. Okay, I'm going to read you a stat and then compare it to Tottenham's. I want you to see if you can guess who I'm talking about. So, 9 games each. One has 10 goals, one has 1. So, one has 10 goals, one has 9. One has scored a hat-trick. One hasn't. Shot conversion rate, 27% for this one, 7% for the other. And minutes per goal, 59 for the first list and 90 for the second list. What do you think I'm talking about?
Well, the hat-trick, I'm assuming you're talking about Kane because of his European games.
Okay, so the first one I'm saying, so the first column is, I'll do it this way. The first column is 9 games, 9 goals, no 3 goals or more, shot conversion 7%, minutes per goal 90. That is Tottenham Hotspur. The other column that I'm going to read now, 9 games, 10 goals, scored 1 more than 3, shot conversion 27%, minute per goal 59, is Mo Salah. I am comparing the entire Tottenham Premier League team against Mo. Now, don't get me wrong, Mo Salah right now is the best player in the world. Hands down. Hands down, he is by far the best player in the world. He is on fire. But this is compared to a whole football club in the Premier League.
We used to say that about other teams and Harry Kane, didn't we? In seasons
Yeah,
gone.
well, this is the thing. You've got to remember, a lot of people refer back to this game when we beat them 4-1 at Wembley, when we're all over them, and Tottenham are on the way up. We're going into the new stadium, yada, 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 bullshit, 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 blah, blah, blah. And you look what's happened in that time. You look what's happened in that time since 2017 to 2021. And if that doesn't just smack of how badly we're missing creativity, it's just unbelievable what's going on. You know, it is as well. What it is it's not that we haven't got the players. Do you know what? Our players are so. Our board has allowed us to accept mediocrity. I can say that word every single time, apart from when I come on streams. Mediocrity. Thank you. There we go. We have a board that accepts it, and when we have players that can't get the job done, i.e., finals, semi-finals, rather than saying, "Right, you don't cut the mustard. You've taken us kind of as far as you can go. We're going to find a replacement, and out you go." We give them new contracts, and all these players that we have. Like I said, against the Arsenal game, 9 of the 11. Sorry, Arsenal played 4 of their new signings, so we played none in the starting 11, and 9 of that 11 have played under Poch. They know what to do. They can just go like this. I don't care. We'll see this manager off. We've got the 10th choice manager in this time anyway. I know that if I just turn up, I'm going to play, and it's accepted. It's accepted. West Ham. I mean. When you look at West Ham, like they're not very happy with their owners. All the time, they're very, very unhappy with their owners. And they even protested, like we all know what they did when they made it to the director's box, or when it was Sullivan or Gold. I think it was Sullivan that they stopped in the car. And they had that. But they've gone and spent. And what West Ham have done is scouted fantastically. Those 2 players, how much did they cost?
More luck in that, unfortunately, than scouts. We have 1 scout.
Okay, so how much did it cost for Sufal and Souček?
So Souček was apparently a follow-over from Pellegrini, but that was about 20 million with about £4 million loan in January. And then Sufal was because they turned around to Souček and went, "Who do you rate out of Slavia that you think we should buy?" And he went, "You need to go buy this guy." So we didn't even scout Sufal. We just went off a player recommendation. So
that's what we should do.
We took a punt. 5 million quid. It's turned out to be one of the best 5 million quid we've ever spent.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what it's got. They have, and you know what? Whether you're still anti the West Ham ball, which I believe a lot of you still are, at least they're starting to do things correct. You know what I mean? They're listening. They may not be listening the whole hog and doing everything, but they're showing some kind of intent or some kind of because they could have easily said to Rice, "Okay, you want to go? We'll sell you now." But they're not. They're like, "Joe, what? We're going to hold off." We just have no creativity. We're not going to get anyone thinks we're getting anyone in January. You are on the best drugs in the world, and please send them to me because I need to take away this
pain.
pain.
We need a playmaker, backup striker, and probably more. And yeah.
Oh, and more than that. Listen, we've got a board that won't spend the money. I said with our board, it's like now when we have money to spend, we do a countdown with the numbers. We take 1 from the top and then 5 from the bottom. So we just go. It's not about quality; it's quantity with Tottenham. There is no creativity, and we take 5 years to replace players, and then we're like, oh, okay. I think we need that attacking midfielder. It's like, come on, it's just another highlight of how badly we're being run. How badly we're being run, and then I think Eriksen in the last 18 months was. All right, we all feel very sorry for what happened to him in the Euros, and I wish him a speedy recovery. And I hope his life is completely health-free and he has a lovely time with his family. And whatever he does in football, I wish him nothing but the best. But the last 18 months at Tottenham was disgraceful. Disgraceful. You look at people like Luka Modric, who wanted to go to Chelsea, then he didn't. They put on a great season and then got his move. The way he conducted himself was appalling. I used to call him "Where's Wally" because he'd always go missing in the big games. It's what he did. And don't get me wrong, you got to remember, by the end, we bought him mainly because he was free kick and set pieces. By the end of him, he couldn't beat the ball or the first man. So we have a problem here. And the one thing we do with all this money that we pay the scouting networks and everything is they cannot scout for shit. And we have
We did have that, though. We got Delhi scouted him in League One or whatever it was.
David, please.
Regardless of how he is now, he fit our system at that time to an absolute T, and that has to come from the scouting. You get him for peanuts, really. Same as
that was David Pleat.
Yeah.
David Pleat went up and told them, and then Paul Mitchell. When we had Paul Mitchell, our buys were being brilliant. Yeah, and then obviously when he started saying, right, we need these players, and Lee was like, no, he's like, right, goodbye, I can't work with you. And then obviously the guy thinks he may know business, which I highly doubt because he's just a moron, but he certainly doesn't know football. He certainly doesn't know football. I don't see Nuno walking into Levy's naming right meetings going, well, how I'm going to boost your company's money is by doing this, because he knows nothing about business. His job is about football. But this man has to have his fingers and toes in every single pie. And that's why we have no creativity. Listen, you got to remember as well, at the end of this season, Kane wants out, and please God go with my blessing, even in January. Ndombele will go if some club is stupid enough to pay for him. And if Reguilon carries on like how he is, Real Madrid will activate the clause, especially now it's not Zidane.
Well, they might play him as a left winger because that mistake that caused the corner for the goal, disgraceful.
Again, it was good.
And he played so well in that game as well, and then he's just going to be remembered for me now for.
Yeah, but this thing
there are other factors which we'll talk about. Your favourite person in a minute.
Oh, fantastic! Yes, brilliant. My favourite round, the bonus round. But the thing is as well, like if we lose those three players, we won't get. People keep thinking if we get that money, Levy's going to give it all to us to invent because what the club brings in, we spend. And we're not going to get it. We're not going to get. We're being stripped for parts at the moment. We're that's what we're like now. We're like a car that's gone to the scrapyard and is getting stripped for parts. The football club that is not the entertainment complex.
Yeah, a couple of comments here. Your thing about Skip. If Skip does become the next Carrick, hopefully he won't piss off to United. Ryan McFarlane, how you doing, Ryan? No creativity, no hope right now. Club feels pointless. No hope right now. We've come off the back of 2 wins, and then it's just how we are at the moment. It's just a real.
Only 2 points away from top 4. I mean,
yeah, and I'll come to you, Mike, because we've obviously got our say, and from what I understand, Brian is really going to have his say. But it's interesting to see what you think about it from an outsider Spurs point of view. What's happened to Kane? I did have some sympathy at the time with Antonio's goal because he didn't see it late. He did see it late, but if that was the other way round in the other box, he's not standing still. He's gambling that's on his foot there, which is exactly what a striker does and exactly what Antonio did, and that's why he gets his goal and then gets to pretend he's Neo. You're a footballer, not a film star, but you know. From your point of view, looking outside in, what's happened to Kane? Is it just as simple as he still wants his move and he's fed up? Or is it a lack of confidence, or is it both, or the lack of play?
Yeah, the moment he leaves, he's banging him back in, right? Simple as that, isn't it? He's the fact is, at the moment, he just doesn't care. You can tell his attitude on the pitch. He's walking around, sorting around, made a couple of decent passes, had that one shot. But as soon as Tottenham went 1-0 down, well, before even that, just the way he defended against Antonio, it is, mate, from my perspective, it is funny as anything because he just couldn't be asked. He actually held him up. He actually pretty much propping him up, helping him put the ball in the back of the net. So he pretty much gave him an assist, to be honest. But yeah, what did he do? He had one shot. I think he put the pass in for Son, who shot.
That cross was absolutely terrible. It was slower than a newborn baby.
No, in the first half, I'm pretty sure he played through Son for the shot.
It was more of a shot. Yeah, it was the one that Son kind of
But ultimately, to be fair though, I've said it to you before, and we've had disagreements about it, and you kind of this today, you kind of agreed to it. I think it's mainly because, he's not the golden boy anymore. So there's a bit more shine has kind of been taken off. But in a game where it's really physical and in a game where someone is willing to snap him quickly, he's used to being fouled. So that's not a problem for him. But where he's not going to get time and he's going to get snapped and he's going to get put under physical pressure, he's a bottle job. Like, when obviously all of our fans, and this is going to hurt you guys, I'm sorry. We always say it's gone a bit Spursy and, it's been a bottle job. He is a bottle job. Mate, what happened in your Champions League final? He went missing. He's a bottle. Like, he's a great finisher. There's no two words about it. He's a brilliant finisher. Bottled it for England. Couldn't be fucked. But he's bottled it for England before because he's greedy and selfish and about himself, which is a striker. Fair enough. Got to be that. But the fact is, mate, he does at times lack a bit. And when a game like you have a defender with like Zuma who is going to hit you, whenever he got the ball, if it wasn't Zuma, it was Rice or Souček. One of them were on him and he just wasn't up for it. He just didn't like it. And so he just kind of drifted around into nothing. And you kind of, especially in the second half, he pretty much played with 10 men because he was pretty much non-existent. I'll probably set it up nicely for Brian to come in now and just go in.
We'll go Adam first because Brian's going to be seething. But yeah, in terms of he's not bothered, Adam has said here his head is halfway out the door. But in terms of not interested, I go to that Arsenal game, the third goal. Obviously, they scored, but it was his mistake falling over. If he, I still maintain, if you're not bothered in your job, you make a mistake, your mindset is, well, it's not my problem, I don't care, it's someone else's problem. So there's no way he sprints 70 yards back to make the challenge, which unfortunately ricochets to Saka and he puts it in. And I thought that was a kind of turning point in his attitude. I thought scoring against Newcastle, he played well there, although I reckon at this moment in time, I could probably do a good job against Newcastle. But you still got to score and do well against who's in front of you. And then I thought, I think he's got 10 goals in 16 games in the league or something like that against West Ham. So, like Brian mentioned about Antonio, it's Tottenham here. I feel good about this. And I still think that the lack of attacking play and the lack of a playmaker and an idea is hurting him in the same way as Son. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely something going on. The Champions League final, he was injured. I mean, there's no way he should have been starting that for me. He should have come off the bench. But we didn't lose that Champions League final because he didn't turn up. We lost it because of a penalty decision, and then that completely changed the game. But, I mean, there's been other ones where he hasn't been injured, semi-finals, finals, and he hasn't turned up. But what do you make of him this season? Are you with Brian, get rid of him in January regardless, or stick with him, see what he can do, and then get a playmaker in, see if that changes? What are your thoughts on the Kane situation?
Firstly, Kane is a fantastic player. He's a fantastic striker. He's not a bottle job at all. He's a fantastic striker. He scored 30 plus goals for God knows how many seasons now. He got playmaker and top goal scorer last season in the best league in the world. He is not a bottle job. He is a fantastic player.
No. I did not say he wasn't a bad player. I said his mentality is a bottle job. Doing those things does not detach from the fact that
you said he's lacking.
Was that sorry?
But you said he's lacking, but he won playmaker and he won top goal scorer.
But they're stats. It's nothing to do with the mental aspects of the game. No. Statistically, quality, right? I'm not disputing that. He's still in those big games. Chris even said it. He's gone missing in semi-finals. He's gone missing in finals. That is a bottle job. That is someone, your big man standing up, puffing out his chest, going, "It's on me, lads. I'm going to take this game." He hasn't. He scored amazing goals. He scored loads of assists, but those big games, he hasn't puffed his chest out and done Kevin De Bruyne. That's the difference.
Kane to Kevin De Bruyne, they're totally different players.
No, you're missing my point. I'm talking about the mentality. De Bruyne will stick out his chest and go, "I'm taking this game by the scruff of the neck, and I'm going to win it."
We don't think
Kane hasn't done that enough in those massive games.
I think Kane has taken quite a few games by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, but
no one really matters.
Not in finals.
They win you titles and they win you trophies. And then there's games like in the Premier League, which is a game. there's a difference in terms of that mentality.
Well, yeah, Kevin De Bruyne is playing for Man City. Kane is playing for Tottenham. I mean, that's a big difference.
Yeah, but Gareth Bale at Tottenham took the game by the scruff of the neck and won you games. He didn't bottle it. He went to Real Madrid, proved he didn't bottle it. That's what I mean. It's that mentality.
But in your point there, Gareth Bale didn't win us semi-finals and stuff either. So
no, but Chris,
it's a similar kind of thing, isn't it?
He was a player who went through everything, and it was all about him. He was a cut above. Let's be honest. And the quality that Kane's had in relation to what Bale had is different. You know, in all honesty, it is a bit chalk and cheese in terms of the quality of those two teams that they've both had. You know, obviously Bale had Modric at the time, I'm pretty sure. But other than that, the other players weren't at their level. Kane's had players like Son and others that have been there or thereabouts, especially when you look at your defence at the time. So you've had players that are more on his level than, say, Bale did. Bale showed a stronger mentality at Tottenham, in my opinion, than Harry Kane has. And he's shown it in the big games as well, which Harry Kane, for me, I find has gone missing.
I think Bale could do stuff himself, whereas Kane's not the kind of player who's just going to get the ball at the halfway line and score a goal. So he does require service in it to a certain extent. But I do agree in like 16-17 season, as the best team I've seen us have in our lifetime. We should have won something during that season. Yeah. That period. But yeah,
But going back
I think, like Adam said, like, you know, De Bruyne plays for Man City. If Kane played in Man City's team, he'd be winning stuff left, right, and centre. I think if he stays fit, I think he has got much better players at Man City than certainly at this moment in time at Tottenham. But I do agree with you, Mike. He should have been winning stuff, certainly 16-17 season and possibly the season before, maybe the season after. But
it just didn't work out. I mean, you know, this season though for Kane, I think he's lost his edge. I really do, and I think that is because he didn't get his move. He certainly lost his edge.
Do you think he'll get over that, or do you think that will be there until January? And if he doesn't get his move, even bigger sulk, and then it'll be there until summer? And
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to get his move now. Anyway, it looks like it's all broken down. It looks like Haaland is the one that Man City and all these teams want now, and. I mean, Kane, what is he, 29 soon?
28,
29?
28 now?
28.
I can't remember.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean...
you're upset there.
Okay, he's 27. He's 27. Okay, that's what he is.
Yeah. Fine, he's 27 and a half. Kill me.
Charge up.
That was the biggest runoff like James Bond I'd ever seen. It was like, oh my God, they're in the room.
No, it's not. That's because my run is normally that because I've got to shut up dogs from being annoyed whilst I'm on calls for work. So I've got used to it. The quick dart.
Anyway,
Usain Bolt like.
That's the quickest I ever move.
Yeah, Kane's definitely lost his edge this season. Definitely lost his edge. He's not on form at all.
Yeah. All right, Brian, you've been sat there patiently. I've seen smoke coming out your ears. Harry Kane, the floor is yours. What do you want to talk about? And
so the first thing I was saying, Harry Kane.
We'll watch this, so you know.
Who might watch this? You say Harry might watch this.
Kids might watch this, so keep that in mind, maybe. No C words, please.
Okay, the C word. Just the C word. I'll try my best. Harry Kane. I've got to start this off to solve this little debate here. Harry Kane, 100,000 million billion % is a bottle job. Is a bottle job.
But are you only saying that now to play devil's advocate? Are you only saying that now because of what's happened? Would you have been saying this maybe 2 years?
I've been saying on every single stream, he's not. I want Scarlett playing. He's not playing. Yeah, don't.
To be fair, you've either been on here or Tommy's, and I've heard you say that.
So, mate, I've gone off on this guy so much. Listen, Harry Kane is the second greatest striker to ever play for Tottenham. At the moment, we all know who the first one is, and it's the late, great Jimmy Greaves, who both fans have a very, very huge connection with. Obviously, with Tottenham, it's a lot deeper because of what he achieved with us and the records he set and everything. Harry Kane is a predator. Like what I said before, he is the greatest probably in the world. But when it comes to the big games, a Lewandowski turns up, a Messi turns up, a Ronaldo turns up. England in the Euros, he did not turn up. The Champions League, the Carabao Cup, big games like, because when we were this close to winning the league, he may have scored us the goals to get us there, but when it comes to that moment and all eyes are on him, nothing. And then he started this season, and I was going up. I mean, he came on, and the whole song, when he came on against Wolves, and Harry Kane, he's one of our own. We get, oh, I love you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm going to stay, and I'm going to stay, which was all bullshit. Oh, there's the first swear. It wasn't the C word. So
that was a B word. That's fine.
Oh, I can use B's and F words. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then we're cool.
Not as much as like a gangster movie or stuff like that. Put
I'm not like I did on Tommy's on Thursday when I went on the biggest F expletive ever. So listen, he had that game again. Oh, I'm going to stay. I love you, the fans. I'm really going to be committed. He has been woeful. Every single game apart from Newcastle, which you just said was, let's face it, Newcastle. And everyone was like, yeah, Kane's back. That's the Kane. He's back. He's got his first goal. Watch him go. I was like, listen, guys, I'd love to say he is. It's one game. The next big test is West Ham away. Let's see what happens there. Pathetic. He did a superb, and I do mean superb, ball to Son in the first half between two defenders where Mora just hit the ball over. And that header, which was a carbon copy of the header that he scored against West Ham when Mourinho had his first game. Carbon copy. That was it. And to prove it, I thought this question might come up in a few things. So I've got a little photo that was sent to me with Kane last season after 8 games and Kane this season after 8 games. So last season, let's just put this up. Let me do it this way. Here we go. So Harry Kane, games 8, 714 minutes last season, 648 minutes this season. 7 goals last season. Well, this is Premier League only, which is the one that counts. 1 goal. Shots last season, 38. Shots this season, 18. Shots on target last season, 15. This season, 10. Shot conversion rate, 18.4% last season, 5.6 this season. Assist this time last season, 8. Assist 1. Chances created last season, 18. This 7. Passes 200 last season. This season 174. Touches last season 352. This time 282. Everything has gone right down. His mentality is. He's mentally out the door. He does not care. I've been to 2 games and I'm going to the United game. And as I've said, when you watch him off the ball, he's not making the runs. He's running nowhere near where he needs to be. His body language. Well, like I said, when we used to let a goal in, he'd be the first one going, yeah, come on, lads, let's get this, let's sort this. He's just walking down, head down. He doesn't care. Everyone went, oh, Harry Kane's back, the Messiah is back. Listen, this guy opened himself up for this to happen the second this whole nonsense started last summer. Man City screwed him up because they said, yeah, we're going to come and get you, and they tried to do something stupid, which was try and lowball us, which was never, ever going to happen. But Harry Kane, up until last summer, whether you loved him or hated him, as an Arsenal fan, a West Ham fan, a Liverpool fan, whatever fan, you had to respect what Harry Kane did on the football pitch. You had to respect that guy, when you look at model professionals, that is like the true, like he's England captain as well. So he don't just represent us. He represents the country. And that, you know what I mean? It's like when we used to have Tony Adams as a England captain or whatever. The England captaincy means something for a football fan. You never saw him on the front pages unless it was something positive. And you saw him on the back always for the positive. What he's done this season is just trampled all over everything he does. Everything he does. And Harry Kane has opened himself up to this type of debate and this type of I will big a person up. And I stood up and I said on all the streams last week, Harry Kane was fantastic against Newcastle, and he was. That's the Harry Kane we know. But like I said, it was Newcastle, and the next big game came up, and once again Harry Kane bottled it. And then what will happen is he might play on Wednesday against Burnley, and he'll score 2 goals. Oh, fantastic, fantastic, wicked! He's back, he's back. No, he ain't. Let's play against Manchester United, and you go missing again. I think someone said to me the other day, I was speaking to a friend of mine back in Toronto, and do you know what? I think not selling Kane, and he said this actually, it's not me, not selling Kane, it could be one of the worst bits of business we've ever done. Because he is completely, the mood he's setting, the performance he's putting on the pitch, I'd rather we'd sold him and then got whatever striker we would have found from the Ugandan 8th division, because that's how much Levy will spend of that money, and give him a go. Because when Harry Kane's not trying, you're a player down. You're a player down. He has been woeful, and I'm man enough to when Harry Kane is a professional footballer, and coming in for criticism is part and parcel of your job, and also the praise. And if you're going to be taking the praise, which you rightly deserved, then you've got to be man enough to take the criticism when the facts are staring you in the face. He is 100% a bottle job. He is 100% not interested in playing for us, and he is 100% ruining his legacy, and he needs to piss off now. Now.
Do you think the stats there that you've mentioned, you know, obviously a lot higher last season to this season, is to do with the way that we're playing as a team as well, not really attacking. Villa and Newcastle aside, and obviously last year we were defensive with Mourinho, but we obviously had an way of attacking, which was him drop deep, Son run off, which isn't happening this season. So do you think he's struggling for that, or as well? Because I definitely think something's changed with his head has dropped or something like that. I mean, he obviously tracked back against Arsenal, but in terms of showing for the ball,
yeah, after he lost the ball,
in Mike's comment of getting tackled and everything like that, you know, I've always said that his weakest part of his game is his strength and hold-up play. Do you think it's the way that we're playing is also affecting how he's getting involved as much?
The only thing is he can't play in a 4-3-3, and we saw he plays better in a 4-2-3-1. Now, this is the part where I blame Nuno, because when you come to a team and you say you've got the best striker in the Premier League, if not Europe, if not the world on his day, and he's the best there as a one up top, you don't come in and go, oh, do you know what, I'm going to play him in a 3. It makes no sense whatsoever. If you've got the best player, and you look at it, and when you say the starting play, listen, Harry Kane, love him or hate him, and right now I'm on the latter, a world-class player, like we've just said, grabs the game by the scruff of the neck. If the game's not going to him, he goes to the game. Now, I'm not saying he will turn, just because he does that, Harry Kane wins the game like Roy of the Rovers, but you can at least see that he's trying. And he's like, right, this ain't working. What am I going to do to fix it? I'm Harry Kane. Let me drop deep. Let you go for and literally start trying to get a foothold in the game. He's done nothing. He's gone missing. He's gone walkabout and not made himself available. You wouldn't see a Patrick Vieira. You wouldn't see that a Julian Dix, I remember seeing Julian Dix, who would literally jump in a shark tank with steak all over him if it said West Ham needed him. That's what cult heroes and that's what legends do for the club.
In fact, Dick's
Harry Kane
for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Harry Kane should be getting these games and going, do you know what? I'm going to try and change this game. Like I said, Kevin De Bruyne, if the team he'll go, all right, give me 2 seconds. I'm just a player ball that's just going to land on Jesus' head, goal. But they ramp up the game to make sure they get involved. And that's what you've got to do. I'm not saying just because Harry Kane's Harry Kane, he has to score every game and we win every, but at least try and make an impact in the game. Yesterday he didn't. Yesterday he didn't. He was. Do you know how many times, rather than trying to get in front of the defender, to try and get in front for like an early ball in, he runs between the two to make it. he's lost his spark, he's lost the mojo, and he is hindering our performances. We looked a lot better in the first game of the season with Mora, Son, and Bergwijn. They may not be Son's the only one that can get near to Kane in terms of class and skill. But again, as we were saying at the beginning of West Ham, working as a unit, those three work very, very well together, and they work for each other, and they're all committed to the club. Whereas this man isn't. So
I do think against City as well, there was more space there because City were attacking us quite heavily, whereas West Ham obviously had their plan to, well, not soak up pressure, but kind of be compact a little bit. But
to be fair, we changed our plan. We didn't. That wasn't our initial plan. We did what Tottenham couldn't. We adapted to the game.
Mike, can you explain adapted? We're Spurs fans. We don't know what that means.
Well, we saw the game going in one flow, and then we went, "Hang on, we're going to take this right turn because it's a shortcut." That's what we did.
I do think we adapted.
Try. Oh, 90 minutes are up. We won't try again.
To be fair, I would have been mad if I was a Tottenham fan because you did try it. We essentially, it was so obvious. If you watching the game, just even in the stands, we basically said to Tottenham, if you want to beat us, you need to go round the sides and you need to whip balls into the box. Because we just went, we're just going to compact the 18-yard box. And the funny part is, the Spurs team just went, well, that's where we attack then. We'll just attack the middle because that's where West Ham are going. They're funneling us out wide, but we're going to ignore that. We're going to go into it. Was
well, we did have width with Vecchione and Voyal, but like I said, the ball to them was far too slow. But in terms of adapting, I think we adapted in part. Obviously, you had the early chances, early doors, and you were the fans right up for it. We adapted in a sense to keep the ball and kind of quieten the crowd down. But in terms of going forward and causing you problems, in terms of keeping the ball and keeping you at bay a little bit, I mean, everyone's going to get a few chances in the game. But I mean, Adam, kind of sum up a little bit. Where do we finish this season? I mean, if Kane scores goals, the goals that he has been scoring in previous seasons, we've got a real good shot of maybe not Champions League, but certainly Europa League. He's not. Sorry, if
oh, that was funny.
Scoring goals and carries on like he is, I mean, top 10 is 50-50. How does this end? Does he go in January? Does he buck his ideas up? Do we get a playmaker? Do we change the way that we play? Or do we carry on like this and then it's a real season? What happens?
What
was that? That was supposed to be my angry noise, but it sounded a bit weird, didn't it? Yeah.
It's going to be up and down season. It's going to be, you don't know what Tottenham team is going to turn up. It's going to be one of them seasons. And yeah, we're not going to get Champions League.
Do you think it's a build season, or do you think it's going to be? I've said I don't think Nuno's going to get the time because I reckon when his time is up, that's when Pochettino's contract is up, and then it works for Levy because he gets rid of a manager, gets a manager in, no compensation, changes hands at all. But do you think Nuno gets fired if we finish something like 10th this season, or do you think he gets another go? I mean,
I think we'll do well. I think top 8. I think we'll be in the top. I think we'll do very well to get top 6. Top 4, that'd be a miracle. Yeah, I think we're looking around 7th or 8th or something like that this season, probably.
Yeah, Mike. In contrast, you're 4th now, which I don't know what your aim is this season. Obviously, everyone's aim is to win the league. None of us are going to win the league, so that's an aim. But it's like me go, well, I'll win the lottery tomorrow. That's my aim. Never going to happen. It hasn't worked in 20 years. But is top 4 your aim? Is another consolidating Europa League your aim? Because you obviously you're 4th now. You never know. You go on a good run and injuries help you. But what's your realistic aim this season?
Realistic aim.
But realistic based on how you've played this season and how you've started and the European competition as well to continue.
See, I don't think that is realistic to expect that form to continue consistently throughout the whole season. So realistically, based on our squads and the number of games we're currently in, to finish 8th is going to represent a good season. Obviously, we had a very good start. We're in that top 4 position. It's 9 games in. It's irrelevant until I'd say middle of December. That's when you can start going. That's where we're going to be, there or thereabouts by the end of the season. I think looking at 10 games in is an indicator as to how you're starting. December is when you start to go, right, this is where we are. January is where it all comes in. I think making any claims now as to where we're going to be it's a bit redundant, to be honest, because let's face it, where were Tottenham at this point last year? Top of the league.
That's true.
Top of the league last year. Where did you finish? So talking about where you're going to be now, it's an irrelevance, really. What's going to see where we go is whether we get an injury to Declan Rice or Souček. We've managed to ride the injury to Soufal because Ben Johnson stepped up. That's been brilliant. But ultimately, it comes down to if we get an injury to Antonio, we get an injury to the likes of Rice, then what happens to our season? We saw what happened last year. We finished outside the Champions League places because basically Declan Rice and Antonio got injured. Had one of them got injured or none of them got injured, we probably would have snuck into the Champions League. We probably would have won one of those games where we didn't. But the truth is, if one of them get injured, then our whole season has a different complexion to it. So I'd like to say we'd finish 6th, 7th. But again, let's be realistic. You'd asked a West Ham fan to start the season and said, I'd love to finish 8th, have a proper good cup run, and have a little bit of a go in Europa League. But ultimately, it's about consolidating, building. Rome wasn't built in a day, and sometimes you can grow too quickly. So that's the other concern. If we grow too quick, we then don't have the money to sustain it. And we don't necessarily have the ambition in our boardroom in which to facilitate that growth. So It's all very well saying we're doing very well, but there are other factors behind us achieving what we're at the moment doing. And at the moment, let's be honest, we are overachieving. The sum of our parts are a lot better.
Similar to us under Pochettino 4 or 5 years ago. We definitely overachieved then. But Brian, Adam thinks top 8. Where do you think Spurs will finish this season? And please don't say it's all about next season where we're looking to win the championship. Please don't say that.
I'm not going to say that. I'll never say that. But I will say I don't give a crap where we finish because listen, I don't know what we've got to do or how far we have to go. Listen, I'm going back to Canada in 2 weeks. I've been here for 6 weeks. I came back here, as everyone knows, apart from I came here specifically back for the NFL protests and to lend my hand to getting this parasite out of the club. And that's all I care about right now. Listen, things aren't going to get better. They're going to. I just had that song, "Things Can Only Get," in my head as soon as I said that. But yeah, I really did have that in my head. But yeah, listen. It doesn't. We overachieve, we underachieve. We overachieve, we underachieve. We buy crap, we sell best players. We buy crap, we sell best players. We go backwards, and then we have Lady Gaga concerts. Look, you've got to look at it as well, mate. Right now, we've got the Europa Conference League. And this ain't funny what I'm about to say. We've got Vitesse and Rennes at home, and if we don't pick up 6 points from those, we could be out of the Conference League at the group stages.
Yeah.
Not a bad
And
thing.
by the time we play United from our last home game, which was Villa that I was at, we would have had the embarrassment in Europe, the embarrassment of losing to. I don't mean the embarrassment of losing to West Ham. I mean the embarrassment of losing another North London derby, not North London, a London derby, making it 4 out of 4. I don't mean the team. I mean just the general a derby, 4 in a row. We could go out to Burnley in the Carabao Cup. All by the time we come to United, who I can guarantee you, mate, those players are going to be pissed after what happened yesterday. They are going to go, and they are going to go help.
My big worry about United, we'll obviously do the preview on Friday, is that they changed their formation and tactics to not be so bloody open. I mean, I'd fancy our chances if they were as open as they were.
The worst thing about it,
they can't be again. They can't be again.
I'm still trying to work out if Pogba,
Harry, isn't it?
Yeah.
no, listen, I'm even trying to work out if Pogba being sent off is a blessing or a curse for us. Because if he had played, it's like, okay, we could just walk past him because if you don't care. But then it's like, oh, wait a minute, he's suspended, so another player. But listen, where are we going to finish? I've got no idea, mate. Do you know what? Do we keep? There's so many variables for Spurs that we just don't know where this is going to end.
Well, I think this lucky to get top 10, and I mean, mate, I'm inclined
to agree. I'm inclined to agree. Literally, I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to get to
you, Mike. Mike must be loving this therapy session. It's our therapy session. Mike's not helping.
I'm not going to lie. I'm actually loving this. Just stoking the fire a little bit as well. So it's been great.
Sorry, Brian, cut you off there.
No, it's good. Listen, mate. People know that I'm very outspoken, and I'll speak the truth and say it how it is. I won't sugarcoat it or anything. We're a fucking mess. We are a fucking mess, and it's going to get a lot worse. And I don't know what's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for people. Say, do you know what? I ain't having this. I want my Tottenham back, and I'm going to fight to get my Tottenham back because we're just allowing this to happen. At least West Ham, like I said, they may have gone about it the wrong way with where they went right up into the Glazers and when they stopped Sullivan or Goldness Kai. And I must admit, I've actually dreamt, and I mean, this is how what I've actually dreamt that that was me passing Levy's car. And then I won't go on to where that dream goes. But let's just say I woke up with a really big smile on my face. But yeah, it at least there's fans that want change. We've got the highest price season ticket, the highest kit the highest everything for nothing, just to line their pockets so they can buy property or whatever, and it's just not acceptable. So my main aim is, listen, I want Tottenham back, and I don't care what we have to do to get it. And if we have to keep going lower, top 10, lower 10, I don't care. As long as we don't get relegated. We need to get these guys out of the club. And if we keep doing well, they're not going to go. Keep punching above our weight, they ain't going to go. And that's all I care about right now. There used to, as I keep saying, my favourite hashtag, whenever I'm there used to be a football team over there, not an entertainment complex. And that's what we've got to get back.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, like Adam says, it's not going to be a very nice season, I don't think. And like Brian says as well. But I think it's doubly disappointing because it was only 4 years ago. It's not that long at all that we were challenging for leagues, and even less that we were in a final of a Champions League. And then now we're a million miles away from that. And then obviously it doesn't help that West Ham are then not replacing us because you're not in Champions League finals for Talk Tottenham, but you're obviously on the up and we're on the decline. But yeah, I mean,
but if we win a trophy, then we've achieved more than you have in your period of success. So that stops you not being flippant. If we're West Ham, we're likely not to win a trophy.
There's one word in that though. If.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm a West Ham fan. Let's face it, our song sums us up perfectly. And like my dreams, they fade and die. We have dreams and they always die. But we don't stop us dreaming. But it's the truth. We're not replacing Spurs because what are we replacing? It's that brutal thing that happened when someone said around Paul Merson and went, Spurs success. What success? What have they done? You hadn't won anything. So to say success, really, what you mean is you had a very good commercial success. You increased your brand in Champions League, and you sold a couple of players for big money. That's really the success that Tottenham had, and they built a team that competed for a bit, and then ultimately didn't. Sorry, that sounds really harsh. No,
it's like the golden era in England. It's like the golden era we had with England, with Gerrard, Beckham, Scholes, all these, and they were pipped to win everything, and they won bugger all. Listen, what are these players going to say? People like Moussa Dembele, who is I'm just picking him out as who is a legend at Tottenham, and rightly so. But he's going to go, oh, look at this where I came second, or look at this where we almost made the Champions League final, or look at this where we almost, compared to someone like like someone like, let's say, Ryan Giggs. Well, there's my 14 Premier League medals. There's my 100 whatever caps for Wales. There's my 2 Champions Leagues. There's my God knows how many FA Cups. That's what they're remembered for.
They just go into their WhatsApp. Ericsson, how's it going? I've won a Scudetto. Oh yeah, and Walker, how's it going? Yeah, I've won a couple of Premier Leagues and FA Cup and Carabaos. It's even worse than that. You don't even have to look at players in the past. You just have to look at your own squad and what they've done since they've left. But other players, and it's just, in their own WhatsApp group, they're getting told, "Yeah, I'm winning shit. What are you doing?"
Question
I won a
for
free Big Mac meal today for the kids. That was fun. It's just what it is, isn't it?
Question for you, Mike, from Jay Ashraf. Cheers for getting in touch. Obviously, where do you see Spurs and your club finishing this season? You've obviously said about West Ham, it's too early to say, possibly too early to say for Tottenham because there's so many variables. You've obviously said West Ham, it depends on injuries to key players and come November, December, when you can really judge it. Is that the same for Tottenham for you, or do you think?
Yeah, I think, for us, if we are where we are or thereabouts come December, then January is the most important transfer window ever in Gold, Sullivan and Brady's time. If they do not speculate to accumulate there, and obviously we're already about 160 million in debt, but this is the time to maybe add that because there are interested parties looking to buy the club. And that debt is not really a concern for the people that would be willing to buy the club. So maybe now is the time to speculate, because if that speculation gets them, say, that 3 points they didn't get last year and puts them in the Champions League by just the skin of their teeth and by just some act of God and some randomness, and we manage to get in, the value in the club goes up exponentially, and then they can run off into the sun, waving their dildos in the air. So I had to get it in. They are referred to as the Dildo Brothers, and it works.
It's brilliant.
And then you get January is massively important. If we mess up January and we don't get probably at least 2 players, one of them being a striker and one of them either being a left back or a winger, because we do lack that bit of pace variation in that line behind Antonio. If we don't get at least 2 players, our season could collapse on 1 to 2 injuries, and then we're just sitting there going, once again, what could have been, right?
Doing the Tottenham.
Yeah, so for us, it's kind of like, well, 8th is a good finish, 7th is a great finish, considering all the games. Anything above 7th, quite frankly, I don't care what any West Ham fan says, it is an absolute gift for us. Right, if we finish
seventh last season,
yeah, we would. If we replicate what we achieved last year, that's brilliant. Because let's not forget, last year every West Ham fan was getting told the only reason the club's doing so well is because you lot are not in there, and you're all vile, you're all toxic, and the reason your club's doing worse because you're not there. Debunked that so far. So it all comes down to January for us. I think anything from 7th or above is an absolute gift. If we finish 8th, that's brilliant. Top half, obviously, I do think we'll finish in the top half. I don't see David Moyes not managing to get this team into the top. It's just the position. I think we can go to any one of those positions. Same with Tottenham. If Harry Kane all of a sudden pulls his head out of his arse and finds the love for Spurs again, he might become back that player that you've had and banging all the goals, and then Tottenham all of a sudden become a different proposition, because Tottenham do have good players. As much as it pains me to say it, they do have good players. But
if he doesn't do that,
if he doesn't do that,
bottom half, or are we top 10, or are we top 8, or
if he doesn't,
well, again, is it too difficult to say because it's only October?
Honestly, anywhere from 8th, or if you don't finish in 8th, even with Harry Kane misfiring, it's an embarrassment. You've spent 40 odd million on a defender, for God's sake. In one of the cases, 47 million, was it, Romero?
He's kind of on loan with an option to buy, so it's
you have a future obligation.
It's obligation.
Yeah, but,
Tottenham players, obligation.
Yeah, with the squads that you have, anything below 8th, which should be an embarrassment for if you're a Spurs fan, because not so long ago, that's to drop 4 positions quite that quickly and with that much of a whimper in the past, considering where you were only 2 years ago. Says something is quite rotten, to be fair, within your squad, not just in your board. That's within your squad and how your squad's built. But I reckon, mate, you're probably finishing 8th, right? You probably are. and it's just going to be a last-minute tussle between you and Arsenal as to, you know, who controls North London. It's going to be that. It's going to be the North London title, basically, or who finishes in 8th or 7th. You know, anything can happen in this league. As if you guys get Harry Kane scoring and playing like Harry Kane, and the rest of your team start moving, your season could be different. It's not about how you start; it's about how you finish. And ultimately,
you know what? I can't actually remember the last time both Arsenal and West Ham finished above us in the same season. So, should that happen, all I can say is people will be lucky that I'll be living in Toronto, although I may fly back just to have my say.
The last time that happened, we had, I think we had Harry Redknapp. I think to finish the year, we finished 5th. I'm pretty sure it was the last time that happened.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Okay.
But, you know, these things happen though, don't they? You have a team who have a period of success.
Yeah, it's
you have a period of success. I'll go West Ham. You have a period of kind of underachieving, and then all of a sudden you get a new manager or new players or new whatever, and then you end up.
Yeah, we do flash in the pan success. That's what we do.
Yeah. That's kind of what
just
we've
go,
done.
We're here and go.
But yeah, I mean,
we're having a tough season. I think if your players
we'll have a tough season,
don't buy into what Nuno's doing, and to be honest, looking at how you played, the only thing I could see that Spurs want to do is hold possession. Other than that, it's not the Spurs that I've been seeing previously. But then again, as I said to you the other day, Chris, you've gone complete 180. You went from an attacking side based on developing and building players to going into an ultra defensive and keeping players on past their due date and then not replacing. What Spurs were doing at that point is they were bringing players in ready to come in if someone was to go. You know, and you haven't done that since. And now you're paying for the fruits of your ill labour, shall we say.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about Levy a different time, and I'm sure Brian will constantly.
Believe me, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, whether I'm here or Canada, I've always got time for that subject.
Yeah, but we'll call that an end now. It's been I wouldn't call it a therapy session like Jay Ashraf said, but it's not been as bad as I thought. Cheers, Mike, for coming on. Again, not been too bad, although you have been giving it a little bit more than normal. So I'm so glad we only play West Ham twice a season. I could be dealing with this every week.
It's 3 of you against 1, so you know I've got to come in with another pair of bollocks on me just to make it a little bit fair.
But yeah, like we said on Friday as well, you've got you obviously your Twitter handle, which will be on the description. You also got a scouting one. If anyone wants any players scouted, you called out Daka from Leicester, isn't it? That's his name.
Yeah,
a couple of years before Leicester got him. Tommy Asu as well, before we were interested. So where can people find that?
Oh yeah, so that one is scouting _BTL. That's it. So yeah, that one. There's a few scout reports already on there. So yeah, there was one on Daka prior to going to Leicester, which pains me most out of all of them. But yeah, there's a few on there. I think I even did one on Tommy Asu when you guys were at the time actually looking at him. The likes of like Sven Botman as well. So there's a few on there. A few more I need to get back around to start doing.
Get in touch if you want any scout reports from Mike. I'm sure he'll be happy to oblige. Just don't say West Ham or C words. He probably won't, and he'll probably ignore it.
To be honest, mate, I'll just refer to the league. It doesn't matter.
Well, maybe say that in 3 months' time because it might have changed.
Hey, mate, I live in the moment. I don't care about 3 months' time.
Adam, welcome back after your little holiday. I can only imagine you wish you were back on that bloody holiday. But yeah, anything to plug at all? You never have anything to plug. Make something up. Plug something. No?
No, not really. No.
I'm sure you'll be back next Monday talking about the United game. God knows what's going to happen there. We'll have the preview on Friday. But yeah, I just bounced back there. We're at home, and like we saw with the Chelsea games and other games, you lose in the manner that we're losing, not scoring goals, not having shots. It's just going to turn toxic. But yeah, I'm sure you'll be back on Monday, and hopefully.
Positive.
I mean, you're going to the game. What are your feelings about that? Not about going to the game, about the actual game. Not that you're devastated because you have to leave the house.
I mean, Man United are in a bit of a bad way at the moment, aren't they? So, yeah, I mean, if we win that game, you know, it puts us up quite a bit, and we could be having a positive conversation this time next week. You never know.
It's about bloody time we did. We've only had 2 positive ones this season. Brian, pleasure as always coming on. Tottenham on tour.
Yep.
Where can people find that?
Yes, they can find us on YouTube, Tottenham on tour, and exactly the same on Twitter. It's just all one word, but that's Brian Ireland who's manning that Twitter. I can be found on my personal Twitter, which is just at BRI and then my surname DAGUL. But yeah, we're in an hour's time. We're actually doing something very special on Tottenham on tour, and Chris is going to be our first guest. We're going to do a pre-recorded show of it will be coming out straight after. Of it's going to be a weekly thing we do. So any Spurs fans that are watching that wanted to do this on Tottenham on tour, you get to pick your greatest 11 that have ever played for Spurs, but only during your time, the time of your life. And you can pick the formation, you can pick the players. It doesn't have to be the best in your life. It could be a cult hero or a player that has special meaning for you or something he's done outside of football. And we just get a lot of fun of it. And we're recording the first one in an hour of time with the birthday boy himself. So Chris will be the very, very first Tottenham on tour greatest 11 manager. And yeah, we're looking forward to doing that. It'll be released pretty much straight after. So
I'm looking forward to that. I'm a pioneer. I've always said it.
Most definitely, my friend. Most definitely.
Cheers, guys. It's been a pleasure having you on. Unfortunately, it's Mike who has the cheerfulness today, and not us. But hopefully that will change. I'm sure Mike will be on. On the return fixture whenever that is at Tottenham.
Oh, mate, I probably won't be as happy then, but you know, you never know.
Well, you're coming on then. Right? You're coming on then. And Adam, I'm sure you'll be here next week. Brian, you'll be on at some point.
For sure.
One of the regulars. Great having you guys on. Unfortunately, another loss coming on my birthday. If you have watched this, hit the like, hit the subscribe. You can give that as a birthday present because God knows Tottenham didn't give me one. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, even if you're watching a replay, and hopefully. Well, we'll be back on Friday for the United preview, and then hopefully in a week's time we'll have a positive result to talk about against Man United. But until then, let's hope we can beat Burnley in the cup, get a cup run going, and then beat United. And come on, you Spurs!
Leave you out.
Thank you so much for watching, for everybody who participated in the live chat and added comments. Before you go, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anybody who couldn't watch the live video, you can still catch us on YouTube. Add any comments, suggestions or questions to the comments section on the video. Anybody who's listened to the audio-only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anybody who wants the audio-only podcast, you get this wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter, @LTalk Tottenham, you'll find all the information there. We'll be back soon. We're live Mondays, 8 p.m, Fridays, 12:30 UK time. Until then, come on, you Spurs!